Oh, something different.
St. John chapter 20, verses 24 to 28. Now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, and place my finger into the mark of the nails, and place my hand into his side, I will never believe." 8 days later, his disciples were inside again, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands, and put out your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe." Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." Thomas was overwhelmed and discouraged because of the recent happenings. His rabbi, his teacher, the one who he expected to bring deliverance for Israel, was dead and buried. He received the worst kind of death, crucifixion. He was embarrassed and ridiculed, made a spectacle of, and he was buried. All hope seemed to have been gone. Thomas was distraught. He was so distraught, he did not show up for the assembling of the brethren. I know you can identify. There are those days that you feel so overwhelmed or discouraged or distraught or feel like such a failure that you do not believe that going into the assembly is for you. You wonder, why should I go there? It makes no sense. Nothing is working. Well, that's what happened with Thomas. But the day he didn't show up was the day Jesus showed up. Jesus showed up and showed himself to the brethren, the other disciples. And they who were doubtful about his resurrection were now convinced. And they told Thomas about it excitedly because Jesus showed up. He's alive. He's alive. But Thomas was still in his space. You know, in today's talk, today's parlance would say he was in his feelings. In Jamaica, we say up in him feelings. He said, unless I can see the wound marks in his hands, unless I can put my hand in his side, I will not believe. Jesus shows up 8 days later. This time, Thomas was in the assembly. And when Jesus shows up and greets them, he invites Thomas to come and see the wounds and put his hand in the side. At which point, Thomas rejected that invitation. He no longer needed it. He was fully convinced just seeing Jesus. And he made a proclamation, a powerful proclamation, an explicit proclamation of Jesus' divinity. The first person in Scripture to have done it. When he says, "My Lord and my God." My Lord and my God, which equates to Yahweh in the Old Testament. What should we recognize from this? Being in the presence of God makes a difference. It moved him from doubting to prophesying. Even in our lowest times, let us remember the scripture. Do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together, as the manner of some is. When you feel your worst, that's the time you should ensure you're in the assembly of the brethren. The enemy wants to pull you away from your support system. But remember, the scripture says, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he is in the midst. Be where people are gathered in his name. There is that place for corporate worship. There is that place of revelation, of support, of strengthening. For as iron sharpeneth iron, so does the countenance of one brighten another. Do not let the enemy pull you into isolation. Stay where the children of God are gathered, for Christ will be in the midst, and in his presence there is fullness of joy. In his presence is your deliverance. In his presence is your revelation. Remember, away from his presence will lead you to doubt and fear, but his presence will bring you revelation and peace. God bless you. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And for more, join us at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings at 10 Union Square, Crossroads. If you can't be there in person, join us virtually via Facebook Live.